Now the latest from ITV News Meridian with Fred Dinage and Sangeeta Barbara.
Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south. A 6-year-old little girl and her father die on the Isle of Wight in circumstances that leave a community in disbelief.
Everyone's just absolutely shocked. I think grief-stricken would be the word, to know that a child has died in our community like this.
Desperate to deliver the best possible hospital for children, Southampton General's campaign to raise millions. We speak to the actress who's helping them. Plus,
you may have one of these in your pocket, but how about one of these? The changing face and feel of the new £5 note, but there is a sticking point.
And a lesson in the etiquette of afternoon tea, what's right and what's not.
When we then come to pick up our cup of tea, which is a cup of tea, not a mug, please.
good evening to you. A community on the Isle of Wight are tonight preparing to hold a candlelit vigil after hearing that a 6-year-old child has died along with her father.
Police were called to the property in East Cowes and discovered Darren Flux Edmonds, who's 44, and his 6-year-old daughter, Kezia. She was taken to hospital but died a short time later. Dogs at the house were also found dead.
What happened in the home in this quiet neighbourhood has shocked the people who live there. The latest now from Sally Simmons.
This house in Cromwell Avenue in East Cowes on the Isle of Wight is now a crime scene. Until yesterday, it was a house and a garden full of happiness. 6-year-old Kezia Flux Edmonds, known as Kezi, was found unconscious yesterday morning. Though rushed to hospital, she died shortly afterwards. Her father, Darren Flux Edmonds, was found dead in the house, together with the bodies of 2 dogs. The community here are in shock. Well, all day long, flowers, teddy bears and candles have been laid at the front door of the house. And tributes include to a very special princess who has been taken away too soon. Rest in peace, beautiful angel, and we will always miss your huge smile.
I just think it's such a sad day, a really sad day. Poor little girl, I just hope she didn't suffer.
She was the sweetest little girl I've ever met. She made me smile, and she was amazing. I can't put into words how upset I feel over this.
She was just so lovely, and I feel so sorry for her mum and all those hearts that she touched. But miss her with me. Rest in peace, little girl.
Police this afternoon were examining a white car parked behind the house. The mother, Nikki, is with the Isle of Wight police and receiving support. Kezi attended her local primary school and has been described by a close friend as having the most beautiful smile despite having lost most of her baby teeth. A candlelit vigil is planned for 7 o'clock. Sally Simmons, ITV News, East Cowes.
Terribly, terribly sad, and any updates on that story and the rest of the day's news can be found 24 hours a day on our website, itv.com/Meridian.
A man has been charged with the death of a man on the Isle of Wight. Gary Stacey was assaulted in Newport in February and died the next day. Ryan Cooper, who's 21 and from Southampton, has been charged with manslaughter.
A fire at a fireworks warehouse in Southampton began when boxes wrapped in plastic were put near a 300-watt light bulb. An investigation has found the building and a nearby florist caught alight on Bitton Road West on the 13th of May. A school and several roads were closed and homes evacuated. No one was injured in the blaze.
The GMB union says it wants to make sure executives at the South East Coast Ambulance Service are held to account over recent waiting time revelations. The chief executive, Paul Sutton, stepped down after it was revealed he ordered a pilot scheme to increase ambulance waiting times for patients who had dialed 111 instead of 999. The GMB union are calling for a government inquiry into the matter.
The Sussex Police crackdown on drink and drug drivers will begin next week when they will carry out patrols and checks on motorists. 170 arrests were made during last summer's campaign.
Now, finding good childcare that doesn't cost a fortune can be a real struggle for working parents. And that's why a group of mums and dads in Sussex say they are devastated and worried that the nursery their children attend is being shut.
The YMCA Downslink group that runs the nursery in Lewes is more affordable than many in the area. But it says it's being left with no choice but to close, and the decision has not been taken lightly. Charlotte Wilkins has more details.
Ollie and Savannah are among 50 children who love coming to the YMCA Steps Nursery in Lewes. But in 3 months' time it will close and their parents will be forced to find an alternative.
It was our first choice, the only one we could afford. We've found another place, it's more expensive. It's difficult, yeah.
It's just a shock to everyone, to be honest.
Son goes to the after school club. My daughter goes to the nursery as well, so it means we have to find a new nursery and a new after-school provision.
It's just trying to find somewhere else with everybody else looking for a place now. Hopefully it won't be too difficult.
The YMCA prides itself on affordable childcare, but that means that parents now face having to pay double the amount for other nurseries in the area.
We'd really struggle at times. I mean, finding money, that kind of money, is just going to be impossible.
The other nurseries in Lewes are private and they tend to charge a lot of money, and then there are nurseries that only run during school hours, which doesn't work for working parents.
The buildings are being sold to the nearby Lewes Old Grammar School. They need £750,000 worth of repair work and investment. The YMCA Downslink group, which runs the nursery, says funds from the sale will provide valuable investment into other services for children and young people across Surrey and Sussex.
We've had to look closely at the different forms of work we do and make some very difficult decisions, so to make sure that we're financially sustainable into the future.
And some feel they've been left with little time to find a solution.
I think as soon as you give formal notice, then parents will leave and find alternative arrangements for their children. Staff will obviously look for other jobs, and with the Ofsted you have to have a certain level of staffing, permanent staffing too. So it felt we considered long and hard about how much notice was realistic, and it felt that was probably the most realistic amount that we could give.
The nursery will close at the end of August. Charlotte Wilkins, ITV News, Lewes.
Gatwick Airport's bid for a new runway has been backed by its Birmingham counterpart today. The bosses of both airports told business leaders they were joining forces to try to beat off the Heathrow plan. Long-haul airlines believe they can service the Midlands from Heathrow, which is just 2 hours away from the region. Gatwick say they would concentrate on servicing London, which would leave Birmingham free to bid for its own long-haul routes.
We're in a very fortunate position that Heathrow is actually full, and airlines are now talking to us. So they're talking to Gatwick, they're talking to us, and they're talking to Manchester. And that's a competitive market that we're in, and it's great for the consumer.
Well, the issue with Heathrow getting the additional runway is that it's detrimental to Birmingham Airport, but also to Gatwick Airport, because it has this big sucking effect of pulling volumes out of Gatwick and out of Birmingham. The alternative is Gatwick gets it, you get a more successful Gatwick and a more successful Birmingham.
The birth of 3 tiger cubs at Marwell Zoo in Hampshire has been captured on camera. They're the first Amur tigers to be born at the zoo in 12 years. The triplets were born to 5-year-old Mila. Her keepers set up camera in the den so they could keep an eye on the family without disturbing them.
Quite beautiful. You're watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you as always for choosing us. Coming up.
Hot off the press as the new £5 note is revealed, we find out what makes it so different to the old one.
More on all of our stories, do head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, give us a call please, 0808 10 10 095, the number to ring, or get in touch via Facebook, or if you prefer, send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Now, she's starred in some great British television dramas, including Cutting It, Peak Practice and Mistresses. And she'll be in Broadchurch 3 when it returns to ITV next year.
Why are we walking around in circles?
Because I'm trying to shake you off.
Just think about what I said, eh?
Yes, of course, we are talking about the actress Sarah Parish. When she's not on the stage or our screens, she spends much of her time supporting a charity very close to her heart. In 2009, her daughter Ella Jane died of a rare heart defect at Southampton General Hospital. She was just 8 months old.
Well, Sarah and her husband, fellow actor James Murray, set up a trust which is now helping to raise £2 million to build a new children's emergency and trauma department in Southampton.
Well, in just a moment, we shall be talking to Sarah, who I'm delighted to say has joined us here in the studio. But first, Kerry Swain has been meeting patients and doctors to find out why the new accident centre is so badly needed.
6-year-old Archie was hoping to make his own breakfast, but broke a china cup and then trod on it. It's early morning. The Children's Emergency Department at Southampton General Hospital is quiet, and doctors and nurses are able to offer immediate treatment for the gash on his foot.
What are they going to do for you now?
Stitch it up.
Stitch it all up. You've been such a brave boy.
Just absolutely outstanding, really. I mean, the work they do, I don't think they get enough praise for what they do.
The care here is first class. The facilities are not.
This is the Children's Emergency Department. The limitations are firstly size. We've got a total of 25,000 patients a year that are coming through this department, and that on days can reach up to 80 patients a day. We've got 5 cubicles in here and a side room. And then we have this area here, which is a facility really to observe children, to provide some distraction with some toys.
And how many people might you have in there at one time?
As many chairs as you can see, we'll have children sat on it. So we're kind of having 8 children in there. You've got families around there. You've got often parents standing around there. And then we have the one toilet for the whole area.
The shell of the new Children's Emergency and Trauma Department is already built. In the spring budget, the Chancellor George Osborne promised £2 million to turn this space into a state-of-the-art centre of excellence, caring for children across the south. But fundraisers must match that sum.
We are currently in the corridor of the new Children's Emergency Department. On either side we'll have cubicles. We're going to have twice as many cubicles that we currently have, and each of the cubicles is going to be 1.5 times bigger than we currently do. And it will provide the privacy and dignity that we need to give the patients. This will be a children's observed play area, so we'll have chairs in here, we'll have TV, there'll be direct observation from both the nursing and medical staff. In this final area we're going to be bringing down our current short stay unit to combine it with the emergency department. So this will provide fantastic facilities for a period of short-term observation.
12-week-old Ella bumped her head when her mother fell downstairs, already being treated in Southampton for a hip problem and in a cast. Sleeping peacefully, but being monitored as a precaution.
I think the whole hospital here is fantastic, so the more improved it gets, the better, really. Yeah, I think it'd be great if there's a purpose-built facility here.
Every critically ill child in the region will come to Southampton. It's a major trauma centre, but without the space doctors and patients need. The challenge now is to raise £2 million in 2 years. Kerry Swain, ITV News.
And I'm pleased to say the actress Sarah Parish, who is helping raise some of the money for the new project, is with us now. Sarah, thank you for coming in. An important campaign and very close to your heart.
Really, really, really important. I think this major trauma centre for the whole of South Central England is going to make such a difference to Southampton. I think we forget that Southampton Hospital covers 9 counties, so it's not just an immediate hospital, it's for 9 different counties, all the way to the Channel Islands, all the way up to Oxfordshire, all the way to East Sussex, so it's a major trauma centre.
As a mum who's gone through the trauma of having had a sick child, how important are the right surroundings?
I think it's so important. Often it's more important for a child in recovery to be in a child-friendly environment than when it's in an emergency situation. However, the A&E at the moment at Southampton is just not good enough. It's tiny, it's cramped, it's too small. Often in resus, you'll have a 2-year-old child next to a 6-year-old man having a heart attack. This will not do. Children need the privacy and the care and the love and the child environment to get better, I think.
And Sarah, still lots of money to raise, £2 million. But if you raise that, the government will match it. And because of that, you've got a music festival with some big names. Let's have a listen.
Well, some great bands there. That's all this weekend. It's a lot of money to raise. Can you do it?
I think so. I think if we can get some great major donors on board and a community feel, you know, people getting involved, it's their hospital, it's their major trauma centre. So I'd like everybody to get involved with us and help us achieve this dream.
And we'll have information about that coming up shortly, but we've got to ask you about Broadchurch 3. Any clues? What are you doing?
Well, if I told you, I'd have to kill you. You know that.
That would make Broadchurch 4.
Well, there you go.
Keep us all in work.
It's all very, very secretive. I'm not allowed to say much, but it is fabulous.
Briefly, you're at the House of Commons on Tuesday. This is to confirm the government's side of the bargain, their £2 million pledge, and also really to launch the whole project.
We've
Tell
got
us
a
about
big
that.
launch. It's going to be fabulous. We've hired a lovely room in Parliament. George Osborne's going to come along and say a few words. I'll get up and speak, and so will Jim. We've got a nice film to show. And yes, it's basically just to kickstart the campaign off. We've got a lot of press there, a lot of paper coverage. We're hoping to reach out to those major donors, so somebody out there will go, I want to get behind this.
And you're reaching out this weekend and hopefully making lots of money then as well.
Fingers crossed.
You're smashing. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you,
Good luck. Well, all of the details about the music festival are on our website, of course, itv.com/Meridian.
And it's 17 minutes past 6 and the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30 with more Mark Austin.
Coming up, it's all over for BHS. The high street store will be wound down after attempts to find a buyer fail. It means 11,000 jobs are at risk and all the stores will hold closing down sales. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel weighs into the EU debate, calling on Britain to stay. And flashing the plastic, the Bank of England unveils the new look fiver. Join Charlene Wight and me at 6:30.
As you've just seen, it was unveiled today in the grand surroundings of Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire, birthplace of Sir Winston Churchill.
Yes, so who better to be on the back of the new £5 note, which is coming into circulation, than the great man himself?
Well, it's our first plastic banknote. It's thin and flexible and made of something that Fred will pronounce.
Polypropylene?
Yes, very nice. It's supposed to stay cleaner for longer, no more crumpled fivers, and is said to offer greater security against fake notes.
It will be able to survive a spin in the washing machine, but can still melt if accidentally placed under an iron. But why would you?
Fred, you might have money to burn. Well, next year it's the turn of the £10 note to go plastic with the image of Hampshire's Jane Austen. With more now, Dibia Coley.
The new £5 note bears the face of one of Britain's most famous prime ministers. So it's rather fitting it's launched here at Blenheim Palace in Oxfordshire, the birthplace of Sir Winston Churchill, his ancestral home and where he married. It was a chance for locals to hold the new plastic note. It ends 320 years of paper money here, but more than 30 countries use this type of cash, first introduced in Australia 30 years ago.
For something that's so new to this country, there's actually been quite a positive reaction. Lots of people liking the modern look, and a lot of people very happy that Sir Winston Churchill is being honoured on the back of the new fiver.
I think it's fabulous. I'm visiting from America. I wish I could get it now. My dad was a polymer chemist, so it was fun to see it. And it seems like it's long overdue that Winston Churchill is on your currency.
From a hygiene point of view, it's a lot better than the old one. It's quite neat, and I think it's a nice design.
Well, they wouldn't give me one. It's smaller. It's all right.
Mark Carney, the Governor of the Bank of England, unveiled the Churchill fiver, which goes into circulation this September. But some are concerned the plastic notes will stick together, making them hard to count. And the new money means shops and banks getting a big bill to recalibrate vending, self-service machines and old ATMs.
These notes stick together much less than existing notes. If you get a crisp £5 note today, a stack of those, there's some adhesion there. What's different with these new fivers is actually there's a raised surface on the five, both where it says Bank of England and where it says the £5.
A plastic Jane Austen £10 note will follow next year. Divya Kohli, ITV News, Blenheim Palace.
Well, lots of you commenting on the new £5 note on our Facebook page. Sylvia Rodwell from St Dennis, Southampton, thinks it's great that Churchill is on the note, but thinks it could do with a smaller image. His picture, she thinks, is taking up half the note.
Well, in Portsmouth, Anne Mosder is a bit concerned that the material the notes are made of has changed. She says, isn't there enough plastic in the world without adding to it?
Nick Smith in Newbury writes, we need a £5 coin and should only make notes from £10 and up, in my opinion.
And Michael Bull in Basingstoke is a fan. Michael says, plastic all the way. I'm sick of getting dry, old, torn paper £5 notes in my change. Good point, well made. Thank you for getting in touch.
Prince Harry has met D-Day veterans in Portsmouth ahead of their annual memorial trip to Normandy. They were in Southwark House, where the plot to carry out the landings was, of course, masterminded. The Prince spoke to men who took part and heard their accounts of the invasion in 1944. And continuing the royal theme, preparations are taking place across our region ahead of street party celebrations to mark the Queen's 90th birthday this year.
Well, there'll be bunting, a buffet, a bevy or two, no doubt, but when it comes to a right rule, knees up, our best behaviour and perfect manners are essential. After all, there could be a chance encounter with Her Majesty. Unlikely, but maybe.
You never know. And one leading etiquette expert has been giving our own Matt Price a quick rundown of how to behave and make our celebrations fit for a queen.
William Hanson is proud to be posh, a master when it comes to good manners. Quite a privilege then perhaps that he's taken time out to teach us just how and how not to take afternoon tea.
So now that we've sat down, we need to place the napkin on our lap. It's been folded into a decorative shape, so it's placed in the middle. We're going to unfold it and place it on the lap with the crease facing us. When we then come to pick up our cup of tea, which is a cup of tea, not a mug, please, we pick up the saucer and we hold the teacup, pinching with our thumb and our forefinger between the handle, using our middle finger to support.
Through Admiralty Arch comes the coach to a roar of welcome from the... This very precise way of behaving goes way back in time, much further than the Queen's coronation in 1953. And with dozens of us planning street parties this year for Her Majesty's 90th birthday, it's a rule book which should keep us on the right side of the royals.
If you meet Her Majesty the Queen, you refer to her as Your Majesty, followed by ma'am, and that's ma'am as in ham and not ma'am as in farm.
William's now working with the Hilton Hotel to teach people good etiquette, a pinch teacup, a curtsy and a bow. But time for a test. Do people really know how to wear a napkin?
I just think I'd lie it on my lap.
Lay it on your lap like that?
Yes, yes.
It's good, but it's not...
Is it not like that?
No, that's definitely not right.
I'd probably just do that so it didn't blow away.
Down the collar, it's a classy technique. It's not quite right.
We fold it here.
Yeah.
Like here. So if you have a dirty hand, so you clean it here.
You are the first person to get it right. Well done.
For William, good etiquette is essential, and he'd like us to follow these rules explicitly.
It's an occupational hazard that I may be out socially with a group of friends or family and see someone, for example, using a knife on their bread roll where they should be breaking it. The politeness paradox says that I can't actually say anything, but inside I'm dying.
If you ask me, the easiest thing, just don't invite him out for afternoon tea. Matt Price, ITV News.
You know what Simon Parkin just said?
I know what he said. You tell everyone.
You're not a napkin and you put it on your head. He's so common.
From Manchester.
Although I think I'm getting confused. I'm Bournemouth Beach and I'm thinking maybe it's a hanky, maybe. Hopefully not used. Anyway, if you get invited to somebody's house, have a look at where that house is. Some interesting locations for homes for you now.
Yeah, that's a traffic
light. That looks
light.
like a traffic light. Yeah, it is.
Light.
It's at the crossroads in Adderbury, but it's not just the cause of stress for drivers, it's also home to a dove lug. Funny place for a nest. In other dove news, and here's one that's nested on Jill Nye's satellite dish. It says her husband Mark loves it, but he'll change his mind when he settles down to watch telly and the picture distorts as the dove comes and goes. Probably during his favourite show. This one, I'd like to think.
Yes.
Roger Tomlin opened the bonnet of his Morris Minor to find the robins had moved in. There you go.
How long's that bonnet
Eggs and all.
left like that?
Well, apparently it happened very quickly, he reckons. Whilst Macy, Caden, Zach and Noah have sent in this picture of where the Blue Tit family have moved into their grandma and grandpa's pergola in Burfield Common. Yes, yeah, always posh to have a pergola with a jug hanging from it, look. And not an unusual place for a nest, but Andrew Gregory in Loxheath sent in this brilliant action shot of a greater spotted woodpecker in its nest 200 yards from the local shopping centre. Well, handy for picking up the groceries. And finally, a variation on a theme. Wendy Hollett found this growing in her garden. Is it a poppy, do you reckon? But look what it's growing through. It's grown through a funnel. Like a magic trick, that, isn't it? Any more for any more, Meridian weather at ITV.com.
Talking of magic, weather going to get better?
Probably.
Probably.
Maybe.
Let's find out. Simon Parkin.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
OK, so it might have made for some fairly gloomy conditions for the bulk of half-term week, but clouds can look nice. This moody shot was taken by Chris in Cell-Seat last night, and if you think it looks impressive, good news, there's more cloud to come through tonight and into tomorrow as well, all courtesy of a weak weather front out towards the east. That's going to work its way westwards, so cloud will thicken up tonight, stay largely cloudy through tomorrow, but once it's passed through, by the time Saturday comes along, things will brighten up quite nicely, and the weekend is actually looking pretty decent. But back to tonight, and we've certainly had some clear skies today, particularly towards the west. That's where the temperatures will drop away after dark, down to around 9-10 degrees. But from the east, the cloud will thicken. So by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, it's going to be another largely grey start. As we head through the day, it's the far west and down towards the south coast where you might find a bit of brightness coming through. In any sunshine, we're looking at highs of around 17-18 degrees. But where the cloud stays more stubborn, a cool 15 or 16 at best. But as I say, the weekend will warm up and brighten up too. As for your high tide times in Portland, you can see 20 to 6 in the morning, 6:15 in the evening, and then Saturday, yes, a few showers, but also some decent dry and fine weather too.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Keeping a close eye on summer. The Pollen Count, sponsored by Ilogy Eye Drops.
Well, with a fair bit of cloud to wake up to tomorrow, it does mean that grass pollen levels will generally be low, but they will start to creep up in the best of any brightness, and we'll see them at moderate levels through the weekend.
Now, whether you have already decided to vote to leave or to remain in the EU, or if you are still undecided on the EU referendum, we would like to hear from you.
Indeed, we're broadcasting 2 special live programmes hosted by Julie Etchingham, and here she is with more details.
The EU referendum on June the 23rd will shape Britain's future. To mark this historic event, ITV will broadcast 2 special live programmes. The first, Cameron and Farage Live, the EU referendum, will be on Tuesday, June the 7th. Then the ITV referendum debate will air just 2 days later on Thursday the 9th of June, featuring politicians from both sides of the argument to remain or to leave the EU. We want to hear from you on the questions you'd most like politicians to answer on the EU referendum. Simply submit your questions in one of the following ways before Friday, June the 3rd, and you could be part of a live studio audience on one of these programmes to put to the politicians the issues that matter to you the most. Simply send us your questions to itv.com/referendum programmes, or you can email us on debate@itv.com.
Well, in just a moment, we have the ITV Evening News with Mark Austin and Charlene White.
Andrew Pate's got our late news. Do join him if you can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you very much indeed for watching. Take care. See you soon.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.